against Saint, where Saint had early picked the Orianna, and so they went the Akali, and they had the Rumble, and they had River as well on a physical damage engaged jungler, and it's a very good recipe for 100 Thieves, but they have also shown versatility, and so we're going to get a more split push look here with the early Ryze pick for them this time around.
And as we see the picks coming out from C9, wanted to highlight that Aurora, they can flex that between Loki and Thanatos. Loki in particular, we called out the mid lane champ pools going into this, right? He hadn't played the Aurora, but when I think of good Aurora play in the region, Loki is one of the first names that I go to.
Yeah, and if you were to ask Dokla, he's saying it's a fake flex. It's fake, it's a fake pick.
He is
Don't
not
play Aurora
sold
top.
on the top Aurora.
It's actually perfect because last weekend when we had him on the desk, before we even started the day, I was talking about it with him when we were watching an LPL game, and he was so adamant against it being effective, and now he has to play against it. I'm so happy for this.
Well, we do see the Renekton locked in. I don't think he's going to have to play against it.
I was so excited for it.
As we did point out, though, it is one of the champions we've seen Loki been absolutely able to take over games, right? They also have the Poppy and Renekton coming in as their picks, and then Wukong and Ksante is going to round out that Ryze Wukong.
Kind of an early Poppy. Really, it's only countering the Wukong, and now 100 Thieves can try and draft around that rather than go for an all-engage type of team. They have the Ryze already for split push, and they can kind of pivot.
Do we have any Yunara pickers? That's the problem here. We're dropping to 4-5 now, and Yunara right now is perceived to be the strongest AD that's left open. I'm imagining that we're not going to be seeing that from Cloud9. They would just ban it. Just to not give them 4-5.
Because a lot of people do like the Wukong into Yunara, trying to keep it down, so maybe they don't want to play it on their side into it. But there is a decent amount of, with Poppy and Renekton, couple melee champions already. Maybe if you stack up some more melees.
Okay.
We'll see if 100 Thieves want to ban that one away, or if they want to pick it.
Rakan is a great ban. Eyla has been incredible on it, and he's showed that. Of course, Emily was able to showcase that earlier today in a telestration segment. So that is one great example of Rakan being incredible in Ayla's hands. So I don't want to let him have it, especially with a good delivery system with Wukong. Great combo. So that is at least fair. Varus is available, but Poke Varus has been pretty nerfed. So it's not seen to be stronger than Yunara at the moment.
And I'm kind of thinking that 100 Thieves want an AD for FBI that has some sort of mobility, since he does have to play against an Aurora. That champion can delete a lot of low mobility AD carries, so maybe something a little bit more mobile.
Zeri's been seeing a lot of some movement, not just from mid lane.
She's back.
Yeah.
And then it's just
taken
away from Loki, we know,
Exactly. So perhaps Zeri seems to be a pick that people are low-key looking for, especially with Lucian being banned.
Low-key looking.
There we go.
Yeah, that was good fun.
So with Lucian banned as pretty much a lane bully, you're not going to really see a Lucian Nami. Wonder what's going to be picked here. Yunara is still the pick I'm looking for, but would be pretty exposed by the Poppy W, steadfast presence, but also Aurora's range.
How about a Bard? You save the AD carry pick for later. They're hovering it right now, and there it is, locked in. So Bard first. They're saving AD carry pick for red 5.
That's one way to get past the Vulcan security Bard, is to pick Bard yourself. You don't get to see Vulcan's Bard.
That's when you're in disguise in the heist movie, and you're pretending to be the guard at the front. Yeah.
Exactly. So he's just trying to get through the defense. That makes sense to me.
Also, sometimes if your AD carry is going to be vulnerable regardless, and you're playing against Aurora, then maybe you have a Bard for defensive Bard ultimates as well. Can be super effective.
We do see the Yunara locked into the Wukong, which is interesting, something we have seen here previously.
You can have Poppy on the front line, try and make sure that Wukong's not going to be able to E anywhere close.
And now guaranteed, in my mind, C9's bot lane should be strong, especially with the Bard being picked up for 100 Thieves. So perhaps 100 Thieves are going to go for an Ezreal pick, something that'll... it's already been picked.
I'm looking at C9 thinking, what's their engage? Oh, Neeko. Okay, yeah, because Alistair was gone, Null's gone, Rel gone.
Yeah, I was going to say if they want to go for a strong lane, they still can go for the Neeko. She was not banned through this draft, so
can be scary to be a kind of Neeko primary engage. Like Poppy can get fight started, Renekton can flank, but they don't have like a dedicated go button like that Nautilus ult, like that Rel crashing down.
Oh yeah, I mean Neeko is it. It's Neeko and Aurora. The Neeko and Aurora is a really potent like possible pincer there because both of them have invisibilities that they can use. They can use you know, disguises. Like that is a pretty good like wombo engage.
Yeah, Varus like the only pick that you can really go for here that, I mean, it's a strong AD carry for sure, but with Ezreal, Corki, Lucian all taken out, like not a lot of safe AD carries available, and also Sivir, so yeah, tough.
So there's, so this Aurora plus Neeko combination is going to be looking towards 2 carries here that don't have dashes, 400 Thieves, the Ryze and the Varus. So we'll see if their mobility can keep them safe, but I do like how 100 Thieves have some split push strengths. We mentioned Ryze early on in the draft, but also having Bard for later helps you tremendously. Not only can you traverse around the map a lot easier, but the Bard ultimate helps out a lot too. If your Ryze is strong, and Quid was very strong in the previous game, so Quid has another really good game, and they can really take over the map.
Teams are ready. Casters, what do you think about draft?
Thank you very much, Lounge. I'm thinking that Cloud9's going to need to bounce back after that first game. It's so tough, too, because talking about draft, I feel like if you get stomped in a game of League of Legends, you can just blame it on draft, go next, mental reset pretty easily. If you're up 2,000 gold and you feel like you should have had the tools to win the game and then you get stomped, well, all of a sudden, responsibility's a little heavier.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Cloud9, though, in-game, all 5 members running straight towards bot lane, so maybe going to get a little bit of spice, seeing if they can actually catch someone walking in here or at least play for vision. FBI is over in that pixel brush, so not gonna find anyone down here. I'm not sure if FBI has seen them, not just yet.
And he backs away. Comet hits Blaber. That game, we were just talking during the break as well about how like the early game almost doesn't seem to matter in these 100 Thieves games, or if they lose a team fight, they're so good at team fighting that they can just win the next ones, Azale.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like this team just kind of believes that they're going to out-team fight you, 4 out of 5 times. So if you lose one, that's okay. That's just the 20%. We're just going to go right back, and we're going to be able to outplay you in the next one. And I just love the confidence that they play for. But the pressure really is rising here for Cloud9 because this would be a back-to-back year that they have missed Worlds. That has never happened in the history of their organization. If they lose to 100 Thieves today, they are done for the year. They are not making LTA playoffs. They are not making Worlds. And they have had this kind of, I don't know, this pattern, whatever you want to call it, of mostly doing better in spring than in summer. 3 out of their 4 championships are in spring. Obviously, they had the 2020 year where it was like they were so dominant in spring that didn't even qualify for Worlds in summer back when we had 3 seeds. And they really are fighting against it, and it feels like they have been struggling pretty hard here in playoffs.
And there's that big question about whether or not the DSG series going to 5 was a massive red flag or just a blip. And game 1 can't have them feeling too confident knowing they have to now win 3 of the next 4.
I mean, I just always feel like the most devastating games are the ones in which you get a big lead and you lose anyway. Because those can feel like everything went right and we still lost kind of thing. You're in the right position, you have the item advantage, but you still can't make it work. Those can be so frustrating.
And as we're getting closer to that time of the year where more teams are getting eliminated, more teams are qualifying, remember that from today until September 14th, fans can cast their ballots for Kia Player of the Year, Kia Rookie of the Year, and the Kia All-Pro teams using the QR code on your screen right now, as FBI and Eyla are happy to just trade some skill shots back and forth down here with Zven and Vulcan. You can see Vulcan using that heal nice and early. Eyla also doing the same. Worth pointing out that C9 does have the extra combat summoner spell in this 2v2 with the barrier on Yunara versus FBI having a teleport. Thanatos trying to trade very aggressively with Dokla up here in the top side. And while I do respect Thanatos' aggression in lane, I respect how much he wants to be in the face of the enemy laner and dominate that laning phase. We remember back to C9's matchup against Disguised, and Thanatos got punished a lot for just kind of playing too cocky against Castle.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say just like, as there's an all-in on FBI, no heal.
Okay, he's fine. He's safe. He's cool.
He's cool. Back to Thanatos. Like last week, he actually did have a really bad performance against Castle and the rest of DSG. For someone who had been so dominant, really feeling like he was maybe the best player on the team, he needs to play in a better way, and I think that's why he's pressing so hard in lane.
Okay, Blaber scrapping with River here. Eyla behind him. Blaber's down to 100 HP, but River is even lower, trying to escape. The first blood goes over to Loki, who shows up to the fight and collects the kill with the last auto attack in the air. River being taken out early here on the Wukong.
Yeah, just by the slimmest of margins, he's able to finish him off there, and that's always so frustrating as a laner, as Quid, who's in this position, and all of a sudden, you're now laning against a double buff Aurora here.
Yeah.
It's the worst feeling because mana no longer becomes a concern. Thanatos really pressing on this top side here, trying to play aggressive. As you touched on, Jatt, people had talked about him as maybe not only just the best top laning player, just like the best laner in the league, right? And for him to go from that to being pretty thoroughly outplayed, it felt like, by Castle across that series was a really big surprise.
Yeah, but early on in this game, especially knowing that Wukong lost Flash and his life down in the bot scuttle fight, he's just going to be trying to zone Dokla off as many CS as possible. Watching this replay right here, it is just the classic crab fight. River is spotted here, and everyone collapses in for the original engage. I love the TP there by Loki.
Yeah, exactly. He TP'd immediately. Vulcan was moving up, so they knew they were going to have the extra numbers here. And by the time Quid gets there, the fight really is already decided. River gets back trying to get to that blast cone, but Loki can go between worlds, flashes to follow. And FBI is going to have to be pretty careful down here as well with no combat sums. He is playing TP, of course, and he has no flash.
Yeah, scary stuff down there for FBI as Blaber, once again in the face of River, steals away a couple of the small chickens and the large one.
I mean, full pressure by C9 right now. They have FBI with no summoner spells pushing him in. Thanatos has been living under Dokla's turret, got him to teleport back first, and then also the double buff Aurora was getting a lot of pressure onto Quid, even though Quid has CS'd very well in this lane. But for the most part, C9 playing off of 3 lanes of pressure.
And I will say, in general, as Loki's getting wrapped on here.
No flash on Loki.
Yeah, there's your Rune Prison to start it off, coming out from Quid. Now River just needs one more Nimbus strike to close the gap here. Eyla finds a bit more damage, but now trouble for Eyla as he goes on a magical journey straight to hell. 100 Thieves have overplayed their hand. Loki just baits them in. River's about to die again, and Blaber is about to get paid. River at least needs some honey fruits, but Blaber's in there with the tackle, and C9 is mopping up the early game.
That is so big for Cloud9. What a play by Loki. The presence of mind here to turn and get so much damage down, knowing that if they get the kill when Blaber comes in, he's going to get the reset on across the Veil. So he's able to get out, uses his first across the Veil here to go invis, kites back, then turns, gets so much damage down on Eyla. So when Blaber comes in, he can get the kill in the reset.
Double E, double Q, and then also just being able to get the instant stun after the Bard portal makes Blaber the beneficiary of this Loki play. And we said that maybe the early game doesn't matter. This one's looking pretty disastrous.
It matters to him.
Yes.
This is...
He cannot believe his eyes.
just like, oh, we might have just lost the game. Oh, that was the perfect reaction. I feel like everyone who's been playing League of Legends for any amount of time has had that reaction in one of their games at some point or another. So rough waters here for 100 Thieves at the start of this one. C9 already off to a good start there with the Feat of Warfare. Blaber's going to secure himself another crab. The Dragon hasn't been targeted by either side yet, and it's about 45 seconds until the Grubs are going to spawn for the first time. Eyla taking a ton of damage here from Zven and Vulcan, down to 300 HP here on the Bard.
And that being said, even though it feels like everything is going Loki's way, there's such a farm advantage for Quid that the gold is basically nothing between them. It's 100 gold between the two, despite the kill and the assist, because Quid has so much farm. And I will say, against these types of comps, these very kind of burst-heavy comps, Ryze can be really problematic, because if Ryze gets ahead of the pace of the game, not only is he a beast in side lanes for split pushing, but he just builds so tanky that it is really hard, as an Aurora to be like, yep, I'll just go in and one-shot the Ryze. It just doesn't really happen through Roa, Archangel, Zhonya's, all of these tools that really make you resilient. So it is going to be possible for Quid to once again, kind of claw his way back in a very different way than on the Akali, but still could do it.
Yeah, he's going to need the help of River, who, while being very far behind, did hit level 6 and actually is moving just straight in. Doesn't get the smite on the first grub, but it looks like he's going to be able to push Blaber off of the camp.
So critically, the smites right now are not balanced. River is at 22 stacks on his pet item, whereas Blaber has hit 20. So he has the first level of the empowered smite. However, he doesn't have a team nearby, so he has to back away after securing that first grub. Should mean that River can secure both of the second ones there. So 100 Thieves, 2 out of 3 grubs for them.
And you can see, using that TP advantage, FBI, TP's up towards top side. Zven is still down on bot, but Dokla is running straight down there to answer. So they've kind of set up this weird scenario here, utilizing that extra global that they do have. And we'll see if they can actually kind of lane lock Thanatos, keep him in this 1v2, put him in a difficult situation. But looks like for now, Eyla's just still moving around the map. So we should be able to see a reset from Thanatos, no problem. Yeah,
they're doing their best to kind of neutralize this game and get things back under control after the disaster that was the overchase in mid lane. As you've already mentioned, Quid, he's completely fine. I mean, he's got the level advantage. He even has a minor gold lead. It's just River who's behind Blaber, but the fact that Blaber still hasn't completed his first major item means he's not really manifesting the power so far from the 2 kills. So 100 Thieves should actually be feeling pretty free to go and make plays as long as they're not on an item-spiked Blaber.
That being said, though, item spike Blaber, like Sundered Sky Poppy, is really nasty.
It's a very good item.
Yeah, it turns out it's one of the best items in the game, and especially when you're on this Poppy that is so very effective against the front line, against the engage mechanisms of 100 Thieves, it's a terror to fight through.
Honestly, though, it just feels really greedy. Blaber took the first grub, backed off, and then was like, all my camps are up. So he needed to full clear everything. Like, yes, he gets his Sundered Sky, but with that advantage, giving this Drake straight over to 100 Thieves because his tempo was wrong feels like a bit of a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I think he's just weighing, do I want to reset early or do I want to farm to Sundered Sky, right? Yeah. He's saying that this power spike is going to be so big that it will be worthwhile. So he does complete that Sundered Sky, and now we have to kind of track, does that pay off, right?
Yeah, can you get something to happen?
Exactly. Can you get something to happen? Can you steal away these camps, play in your opponent's face? Because that's what he's looking to do. I mean, when you look at the items right now, obviously River has yet to base. He is the strongest person on the map right now.
Yeah. It's, Sundered Sky versus 2 long swords and a ruby crystal. Not a particularly balanced comparison. We did see a trade of ultimates down there in the bottom lane. 2v2 scrap, as now Blaber's coming in, looking for Quid. That Realm Warp's not going to get him anywhere, and Loki picks up the 4th kill of the game.
Okay, that's pretty good. Blaber's able to make use of the item, knew that even if River was there, wouldn't matter. They're going to be stronger the 2v2, so he just brute forces onto Quid there. Nicely done.
Yep, really well done. He's able to go topside, gets the scuttle, finds the gank in mid. And now, for the first time, it feels like Loki is opening up more of an advantage in that 1v1. Up about 500 gold at this point. Should have his first completed item as well. And Cloud9, again, up 2K, but this time it's a lot earlier into the game. And we'll see, can they actually make good on this advantage? Because I do feel like it is so critical that they win this game. Obviously you don't want to be in a position where you have to reverse sweep, but also just mental-wise, right? If you lose a game like last game when you're that far ahead, that's bad enough. If you lose this one where it's 11 minutes in, you're over 2K up, I just don't think you're coming back from that.
I completely agree. It's also like the number of games that 100 Thieves has seemingly won consecutively after bad starts, like how much can they actually get away with in the early game?
How many heists?
And then still outplay you in team fights. It's getting a little bit ridiculous. And I completely agree. If you lose this game after this start with what happened in mid lane, I think your mental's toast.
Yeah, Spring Split doesn't matter. Old, busted, washed. Early game doesn't matter. New, hotness, 100 Thieves.
Exciting. 100 Thieves, they've got the plan. But we'll see if they can make it work out. Here's Vulcan. Looks for a Pop Blossom. Not going to find that on River, who can just pretty easily dodge away from it.
But did get his flash, so that is still quite a cost there for River. It does get out with the clone flash, but we didn't see Vulcan commit hit flash of his own, so he's going to be really happy about that as long as he doesn't have to fight until that ulti is back up. And Pop Blossom is a pretty short cooldown, so not going to be too bad.
And looking at the objective timers, it feels like that's going to sync up very nicely for them. Flash will not be up for the next fight on either Rift Herald or Drake, but those ultimates will be.
And the interesting thing about those timers too, Jatt, is they are almost completely in sync. The Dragon and the Herald are going to be spawning within 5 seconds of one another, which can result, especially in a game like this, where one team has this very like significant early game lead, the other side could just handshake and say, all right, whichever one you want, and it'll probably be the Herald, we're going to take the other one. We'll take the Drake as long as we don't have to fight just yet. But it's also 100 Thieves, so maybe they do just want to fight.
Maybe they'll find an angle. Maybe River will do something strange. Normally, he has a little bit more of a lead or is a little more even when he's doing something strange. It's kind of hard for him to make plays, but with Trinity Force completed, you never know.
I mean, for some teams, 2 objectives is an opportunity to trade objectives. For 100 Thieves, that's an opportunity to have 2 team fights.
Fight twice.
Exactly. Why would you go to the other one when you could go to the same one twice in a row?
The 100 Thieves strategy. Yumu's Ghostblade completed here for FBI on the Varus with this poke. That's another thing we'll have to watch as this game goes on and we do have these larger fights occurring around the neutral objectives is how much poke can Lethality Varus land ahead of the fight? Because if the fight starts off without those health bars whittled down at all and he has to try to stand there with his lethality items and shoot through Renekton and Poppy, it's not going to feel great.
Also, I feel like if Renekton hits level 11 before this next fight, it's going to be really difficult to win any type of even team fight against a Thanatos level 11 Renekton with a Lethality Varus and a Ryze who just completed Roa. Oh, unless...
Oh, if he didn't use that barrier, Zven would have died to the piercing arrow. FBI has dialed his shots in.
Yeah, FBI puts a lot of pressure on there, but it does mean he will not have his ultimate for, either the Herald or the Dragon, right? That is a 90-second cooldown. They're up in about 40, so he'll have to wait a while after they spawn. But likewise, Zven will be down his barrier, so we'll see if that trade works out for FBI. If you can put pressure on Zven, he really is their consistent damage. A lot of the other champions obviously can do some pretty good burst, but Zven is that consistent DPS, and if they can keep him out of the fight, it would be big.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to apply pressure. I mean, I know we're joking about the team fights, but they push Zven out of mid lane, and now they're trying to pressure Thanatos at this top turret. I wonder if they actually just go for an objective trade, knowing that they already have the one Drake. C9's incredibly far away from Soul, and they could equalize the gold a little bit if they trade for a turret.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be great. We can see Quid obviously is going to be the strongest in the side lane later on in the game, so they would love to be able to get that, especially if it could be Herald, but 100 Thieves in the area, Cloud9 on the Herald.
All right, C9, they've got that one almost half dead here with that last eyeball proc. Eyla and River are nearby, but Vulcan going in for the Pop Blossom, finds it onto River, immediately follows it up with a root. Nicely done from C9. The Tempered Fate is only going to delay that death by an extra couple of seconds. As River falls, C9 knows they've secured the objective.
It's just picture perfect here from Vulcan. Forced out the flash in that previous play.
Ooh, but going. Now FBI slammed into the wall as he tries to play aggressively in the face of Zven once more, but this time Blaber's ready to respond, and FBI gets punished.
This game's going more as planned for C9. They just completely control River. Last game, he was pulling off too many shenanigans with that Fi. They're just targeting him super early. They stopped him at the crab early on in the game. As Zeo just mentioned, burning his flash earlier, attacking him right there. And then just the cherry on top was being able to get that wall stun on FBI in mid lane. So they get 2 kills as well as 2 objectives, and it doesn't cost them anything in trade.
I mean, it's just a great angle there from Blaber, who I think is going to have a lot of gold. He hasn't been back to base for a while, so I'm expecting quite a big buy. And yep, most of the way towards that Deadman's, buys some of those major components. He is going to be ridiculously strong at this point. And yes, Poppy is kind of a tank. People think of it as a tank, but when you do go for the Sunder's guy especially, your upfront burst is so incredibly high that your one combo is really all the damage you have, but that's often enough damage to almost 100 to 0 someone with a full combo.
All right, 3,000 gold lead for C9. Still not a single kill on the board after 16, almost 17 minutes of play.
I know.
For 100 Thieves. Not generally what you'd expect. Even in games where they fall behind, they get scrappy, they find some kills, but it's been a tough one here in game 2.
They might have fallen too far behind on this one, but just because of their streak of comebacks, it's keeping my attention. Like, will they find something
You're not
ridiculous?
convinced yet.
I'm still not completely sold that this is going to be a steamroll by Cloud9. Just River hasn't had a single angle to press R yet. I mean, just a little bit over aggression by C9, and I can see 100 Thieves running them down with Bard and Ryze ult. They do have outplay potential.
And it just feels like they've had kind of some 100 Thieves magic, in the best of 5s. When you look at Split 3, prior to the best of 5s versus the best of 5s, 6-1 coming into today, so make that 7-1 because they won that first game. It has been such an incredible turnaround for them.
Okay, Dokla, this could be another compromising position as Vulcan, Thanatos, and Blaber put the burst onto Ksante. I don't think there's enough Ksante gaming to get out of a situation like that one, and Thanatos is going to pick up the kill.
Blaber is everywhere this game on the Poppy. Yet another perfect arrival. First turret is going to be going over to 100 Thieves, though, so they are able to get a little bit of gold for Quid and River. It just cost them Dokla.
Okay, so that's no feats for either side yet because both sides are currently at exactly 2 neutral objectives. Since 100 Thieves did get 2 out of 3 of the grubs, Herald, of course, go over to Cloud9, and then 1-1 on Drakes, which means that logically, one would think that the next dragon also determines the feats of warfare. However, Otacon is technically spawning first, and I think in a game like this, he'll probably happen first as well. That'll be the fight. That'll be the objective because he's only 90 seconds away.
I feel like if I'm Cloud9, I just don't go to Otacon unless it's guaranteed. And if I'm 100 Thieves, it depends how desperate you're feeling, right? Are you feeling like the game is completely screwed? Because if you feel like the game is completely screwed, flip it at Otacon. Go for it.
Okay, just YOLO it.
Yeah.
River's got to try to get away from here, though. Casting the Cyclone defensively, trying to escape Thanatos. Is now Eyla and Quid are ready to follow up. And that Croc is toast. Nicely done from 100 Thieves. But now it's a 1-for-1 trade. Quid in a compromised position as Loki provides a little bit more damage. And Zven guns down the Ryze. River's trying to take the Grom. Because he knows there's nowhere else to go. So he's just going to farm Grom.
He got 80 gold. Blaber didn't get 80 gold. So that's kind of like half a kill.
That's actually the one on the board there. That's
on
the one kill.
Out.
They got the
Very interesting.
Okay.
They're so scrappy.
All right, so Blaber drives the Herald into the Tier 1 turret here in the mid lane. Immediate Keeper's Verdict onto Dokla with the Snapcast for some CC. FBI nearly dies, staying alive just by 100 HP.
I mean, C9 is really punishing everything 100 Thieves tries there. That looked to be like 100 Thieves' attempt at a scrappy fight, get a surprise kill onto Thanatos with the Ryze roam coming down, but then it ends up with 3 kills in C9's pockets.
Yeah, exactly. And they know that Thanatos has no ult, has no flash. So, you know, when they do arrive, they're going to try to turn around. They are going to be able to get this kill onto Thanatos, but Loki had already TP'd in behind them. He is coming in from the top of the screen, able to get that kill on Eyla. River knows he has nowhere to go. And FBI and Dokla realize there's no chance. We just got to go back mid.
Yeah, Zven just free hitting with his ultimate running as well. Highly mobile, highly damaging. He's going to have a nice chunk of gold himself. Quietly having a very good game on that Yunara. Actually has the largest individual gold lead of anyone. And here we go. Otacon, this is surely the final hurrah of 100 Thieves.
C9 is starting up the Otacon. 20 minutes and 25 seconds into the game. They are daring 100 Thieves to come and stop them. It's a 4,500 gold lead for C9. Zven rapidly attacking Dokla there. The power of this Blade of the Ruined King Yunara cannot be underestimated as C9 have the Otacon down to about 3K. Meanwhile, Vulcan trying to control River, make sure there's no way to try to contest here for the Otacon as it is slain. Confirmed there by Blaber. River's about to die to Thanatos off to the side as Dokla puts the pressure onto Zven. Meanwhile, Quid under a lot of threat himself. Zven finally taken down by the All-Out as 100 Thieves want to get everybody else away, but they're all such low HP. 100 Thieves all barely hanging on. At the end, it's a 1-for-1 trade, but the Otacon goes over to C9.
Yeah, it is that 1-for-1 trade. Nicely done by Cloud9, marking River, making sure there's no opportunity for him to get in. He had no flash. It was always going to be hard, and they're going to be able to grab the Dragon off the back of that as well. 100 Thieves did get a big shutdown. It was about 800, 900 gold that I believe did go to Dokla off the kill onto Zven, but still, Cloud9 taking away the Otacon, taking away the Dragon, controlling the game, making sure there's no 50-50, looking way more clean and controlled in this game too.
And Flowers, you were right. Otacon was first.
I knew it. As soon as Isaac said, I don't think you fight for Otacon here, I'm like, okay, we're fighting for Otacon here.
I feel wrong.
I feel like every single game for the past couple of weeks, when I thought, surely they won't do a 20-minute Otacon in this game, it always happens.
Cloud9 does feel like they're in a large amount of control. The bounty going over to Dokla, and the gold still looking somewhat playable. Still suspends my disbelief a little bit. Also, just all the comebacks 100 Thieves has, it's just getting slimmer and slimmer as we go on, because Loki's completely locked in on this Aurora. He's always able to mark anyone on the flank. Blaber is untouchable at the moment. Sundered Sky, Deadman's Plate, so he's going to be first to any side lane fight, which just makes it really difficult for like Quid to even apply side lane pressure when Blaber's this fast and this fed.
And I think one of the big problems here in this game compared to the last one is there's way less kind of like X Factor champs, right? You know, Varus is very, kind of slow, standard. You just hit poke or you don't. When you're really behind, it's very difficult to, I think, get a lot done on this poke Varus. And likewise, Quid, Ryze doesn't really have a tremendous amount of kind of like, X Factor, right? Yeah. You walk up, you just kind of do your spells, and that's about it, right? There's no kind of crazy plays that they can really look for. I think you're hoping that Eyla can hit a great Bard ult, that River and Doku can follow up on that, and you can somehow get a kill right off the bat. But barring that, I think it's just a lot harder. FBI and Quid are not on champions with a ton of individual agency, I feel like, compared to last game.
And meanwhile, on the other side, I think one of the big reasons why C9 fell apart so badly in game number 1 was a very underwhelming performance from Loki's Orianna. It just did not have the impact that you would expect him to have. Meanwhile, in this game, his Aurora, like you already said, Isaac, is locked in. He is playing to the level that fans have come to expect him to play at, and he's so ferocious when he does that.
He really is. It's crazy that Quid is still keeping up in gold. A lot of that is from turrets that he's been able to take while things are happening on the other side of the map, but Quid will be hitting level 16. He's still going to try and be that split push threat and mage machine gun in team fights. It's just pretty unlikely to be enough. It's funny, Azale, when you're talking about the X Factor, I'd say the champion with the most outplay potential here is probably River's Wukong, and he's 0-5-1. So they've really been keeping him down for the majority of the game.
Yeah, and there's no easy champions for him to really jump on because they all have a lot of mobility. As Eyla should be able to walk this out. It's like Zven pops ult, he can dash away pretty easily. Loki can go, across the veil or between worlds, has a lot of ability to kind of stay safe. They don't really have the upfront damage to kind of 100 to 0 people unless somehow, FBI is hitting a piercing arrow on the person that you're Wukong ulting and Quid is there too. Yeah. It just doesn't feel like it's going to happen.
Poppy just presses W.
Exactly. Poppy presses W and Vulcan presses R, and you kind of have to run away or you're going to get popped. So we'll see if they can find some ways to slow it down. That being said, they did at least get that one early dragon, which means that, the March to Soul is slower from Cloud9.
Yeah.
So I feel like the best chance of a comeback for 100 Thieves is Quid getting something done in the side lane, right? It's forget the 5v5. It's hope that you and River or you and someone else can get a 2v1 and get a kill in the side lane and start to delay the game through picks and through that side lane play to maybe claw your way back in later.
And level 16.5 does have the fully stacked Roa, does have the fully evolved Seraph, does have Cosmic Drive now completed as well for the extra movement speed, the extra haste. Yeah, the Ryze is very powerful. The problem is he's hanging out with the wrong crowd. All of his friends are not a good influence on his chances to win this game. Eyla and River will try to sweep through some vision here, maintain at least a semblance of control over the topside River as the Baron has now spawned. Dragon still about 75 seconds away. 100 Thieves, like you guys already pointed out, will have at least one more Dragon that they can just give, say, all right, we need another Quid item. We're going to give you 5 more minutes. Like, it's fine. But after that, it's still a very scary prospect for C9 to get a Dragon Soul.
Yeah, Zven Infinity Edge pops into the mid lane as well. So even more power for C9. Very likely to be evening this series, as they were a little bit shell-shocked after game 1, I felt like, with 100 Thieves just outplaying them over and over. This has been such a good response by C9 this game, controlling from the very early fight where they killed River and not really giving 100 Thieves opportunities to be that creative.
And it was really interesting talking to FBI before the series, his read on why Cloud9 was struggling, and he was saying that Cloud9 is a team that basically plays exactly on stage like they do in scrims, and he feels like sometimes they are just too defensive. They're not willing to pull the trigger in these risky moments.
Baron Rush.
Yeah, you want to talk about risky moments. 100 Thieves are going for the full send with a Realm Warp after the Baron. They've got it down to 7,000, but C9 has detected what's going on. Now 100 Thieves ready to try to turn and burn. They go in after Blaber. They knock him up there with a Cyclone, but it's River taking the most damage. Blaber disengages both junglers at the edge of death as C9 continues moving forward. Doku's got to be cautious now as he's taking a ton of damage from Zven's Yunara. Vulcan swoops in with a Pop Blossom, and Quid is down. 100 Thieves head for the hills, and C9 head for the Baron.
Nice play by C9 there, catching 100 Thieves, trying to sneak the Baron. I like the idea of the play, and this Baron's getting lower and lower. River might try to steal.
Let's see if he can make his way over the wall. It would certainly have to be a one-way trip if he does. Blaber trying to use the steadfast presence, but he does not eject the enemy jungler. Baron secured by the Yunara of all things. Zven clutches it up as FBI is about to drop now. Loki with the last spell to take him down. Dokla and Eyla trying to survive a little bit longer as the rest of C9 arrives. FBI falls, double kill for Loki's Aurora. Thanatos waiting over the wall in case Dokla tries to escape that direction. Blaber trying to stay alive here, but the all-out nice angle from Dokla to try to get the kill here on Blaber. The steadfast presence going to stop it, and he picks up the buckler for the extra shield to stay alive. Dokla will continue wasting as much of C9's time as he can, but he will not survive this one. It's a 16-2 game for C9.
That one got incredibly close. Blaber didn't even get his smite off. You know, it was River going over the wall, using his smite, trying to steal that away. Does end up getting finished off, but this is the much earlier play where they feel like they have Blaber pincered off, that they can try to get a pick onto him, but they just don't have the damage to actually finish him.
They couldn't get the Baron low enough. I think they would have loved to just burst the Baron and then try and run away. Once the fight starts, it is going to be pretty difficult for them to turn anything. And then watch this. Yeah, River is able to dodge the Poppy ultimate. And then, I mean, River does smite early for what it's worth. Or does he even? 1306 to dead. Yeah. My God, that's kind of lucky that the Yunara actually got that with an auto attack.
Yeah, that was really, really close. I almost want to go back because I'm going to try to look in-game, but it looked like he was trying to Q smite, and I think Thanatos may have stunned him on the Q, and then the smite went off, but not the actual Q. But either way, it's like, even if Zven is hitting you, he has a Hurricane. He's hitting the Baron too, right? So 1300 does not feel early at all. It felt like he did a really good job.
Especially with Q buffered.
Exactly. It felt like he did a really good job trying to make that happen, but Cloud9 do win the fight either way, and now are feeling like they are very close to closing out this game.
Jatt, are you convinced?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say 11,000 gold, soul point, 29 minutes into the game, total control over the Rift. This is about as much of a winning position as you could have.
The Baron play was pretty creative, though, by 100 Thieves.
It was.
I'll give them that.
It was.
They keep finding windows to try and make things happen. It's just in this game, like in other games, even if they land like 40% of their plays, sometimes that's enough to turn the game in their favor.
They're finding those windows, they're just all steel.
Yeah,
jumping into the window, it's not breaking this time.
The windows have bars, I'm afraid.
Poppy waiting on the other side.
Well, C9 is going to force down this tier 2 turret. You can see 100 Thieves stepping up, thinking about trying to make some sort of a play, but the only players from C9 they could have targeted were Blaber and Thanatos, and that's not going to work. So River is now deep in enemy territory, and we'll see how he wants to play this.
He's flanking. He's going for Zven.
Yeah, Zven is by himself right now. They could maybe get a pick.
There's the Realm Warp. River immediately starts it off with a Cyclone. Quid to follow up. Zven caught out, shot down, shut down. Nicely done from 100 Thieves to get the pick.
Yeah, that's great. And they get both his sums as well. I don't think it's nearly enough to pull this game back just yet, but it is something that will buy a little bit of time, and it's the best play they can make in a horrible situation. Yeah. So credit to 100 Thieves. They just have not stopped looking for those winning plays.
Loki finds River, though.
Yep, he's going between worlds, and River is going down. C9 ready to get some revenge for their AD carry. Dokla goes all out, though, looking to bring Blaber through the wall. FBI with the defensive chains of corruption, but a nice two-man pop blossom coming out from Vulcan to lock up the enemy bottom lane. FBI dies, and Loki's going godlike. C9 get 2 for nothing.
Yeah, when you, as Ksante, pull the enemy jungler over the wall and then realize that he is 2 levels higher than you, something has gone wrong before that moment.
Yeah,
and that's what happened there, is Blaber's 3.5 items, upgraded Mercury Treads as well. I mean, I again, actually like the things that 100 Thieves is doing in this game with the pick on Zven being clever. I'm not sure how he was there when the rest of his team had already reset. Maybe he was just trying to greed out an extra bit of gold for an item. But even just that play, extending that deep into the mid lane, did lead to the next fight by C9. They chased River all the way down and managed to kill him before he could escape.
All right, 100 Thieves. It's a 12,000 gold deficit, and the soul spawns in 75 seconds. Once C9 gets that one, I would have to think you just walk it down mid and end the game. Loki gonna try to find a little bit of quick burst there onto Quid, but does not hit the 2-fold hex. So only the weirding. And this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, where Ryze can become super annoying for Aurora, because it's not like you can just do a big chunk of damage to him very easily. So Quid's still feeling fine about that one, but Thanatos is pushing up the wave in the bottom lane right now, while Loki continues keeping the wave shoved over in mid. They want to have priority in both of these lanes. They want to make it a game-ending decision decision for 100 Thieves to try to challenge at this Drake.
Yeah, and I think they should easily be able to do that. I mean, 100 Thieves doesn't really have much choice, about whether they sit back or whether they try to contest. But Cloud9 has choked out almost all the vision in this area. There's no vision in the river at all for 100 Thieves, so they're just going to group up. Hope they can make some sort of a miracle happen. That's all you can do in a position like this.
Okay, River thinking about maybe an angle for a pincer attack, but it's just not there. C9 playing it safe, playing it cautious. Loki again with a little bit of quick burst onto River this time. C9 with control over this bottom side of the river, over this Drake pit. It's 7 seconds left until the Hex Soul spawns. 100 Thieves still stepping up a little bit, but the only health bars they're hurting are the clones. C9 immediately aggro the Drake. They're going to start the objective as Loki and Dokla are squaring off all the way back near the C9 Tier 1 mid lane turret. River swooping around from the side here. Realm Warp about to try to come in, but the objective bounty has been claimed. River steals away the Drake, but the fight is not going the way of 100 Thieves. FBI, River, and Quid all down. Double kill over to Zven as Loki will chase Eyla through the magical journey, but he doesn't even need to do it. Dokla's about to drop next. I'll give River credit for stealing away the soul, but unfortunately the cost is still the game. C9 are going to get a very delayed ace here after Dokla finally dies to Blaber. Needs a little bit there. Finally gets the ace. There it was. I believe Ksante may have just died to the steadfast presence damage, but C9 are going to march this one down mid lane.
Just a great way to bounce back from that game won by Cloud9. A masterclass by Blaber's Poppy here. Deathless on the Poppy. River goes 0-8-2 on the Wukong, shutting him down almost every time he went to make a play.
It started good for C9, and this time it stayed good for C9. They will bounce back with a 23-3 victory in game number 2. They will stomp 100 Thieves. They will tie up this series. Lounge, what are we looking for in the next one?
Ooh, I'm looking for River to not go 0-8 again. That was tough to see.
You have River giveth and River taketh away.
Yeah.
I'm like one of the biggest River enjoyers. I love that about him.
I would say Blaber and Loki are the ones who took that stuff.
True.
Blaber, I feel Blaber and Loki to me were the story of this series. Like they absolutely demolished this early game and get such a big lead for their jungle and mid that's why it looks like they're running this game for so long. Despite how hard it was to convince Jatt that they were doing so.
Yeah, he was definitely still looking for that Hondo Thundo upset. But getting Blaber involved this early in a lot of their fights, I think, was crucial, right? Because the biggest complaint that I think C9 fans had